On the night when the storm raged hardest, she thought she was alone. She kept the fire alive, the only warmth against the dark. But even the glass could not hold back the storm's cry. She sat alone, listening, waiting, her silence heavier than the wind. In her small world of wood and fire, every shadow seemed alive.
Then through the roar, a fragile cry reached her ears.
Something pressed at her walls, demanding she step beyond her fear. She braved the white abyss, lantern lifted against the dark. Ground and air blurred into one white void. Then, against her very wall, shapes clung to life. She lifted their shivering bodies and carried them into the fragile warmth of her cabin. Then she laid them by the fire, where warmth could fight the storm's cruel grip. She watched in silence, their fragile breaths echoing louder than the storm itself. She softened bread with water and offered it with trembling hands. One small hand reached for hers, and trust was born in silence. She gathered the second child, weak with cold, and placed it beside the first. The world beyond howled, but here she carved a path to safety.
She crossed the threshold, carrying more than weight. She carried their chance at life.
With one motion, she sealed the storm away, leaving silence to breathe within. They lay near the flames, fragile bodies trembling less with every passing breath. She wrapped them tighter, weaving hope into every fold. Each fragile breath came stronger than the last. Tiny hands reached for warmth, clinging to life itself. Tiny hands reached for warmth, clinging to life itself. The flames revealed faces both human and not, bound by need.
Shadows stretched tall, as if the forest itself had entered her room.
She watched their sleep, guarding breaths more precious than her own. The storm still raged outside, but the snow on their fur melted into nothing. Fragile whimpers broke the silence, yet carried no fear, only need. In her silence, she made a promise the storm could not break. The fire's rhythm became the only heartbeat the night could hear. She pulled the blanket close, holding more than fabric, holding hope. Flamelight danced across faces, drawing kinship where none should be. She kept silent guard, her presence the only shield they knew. Their breath joined hers, 3 lives bound beneath one roof. She drew her own shawl wide, sharing its warmth without a word. In flickering glow, trust flickened too, fragile but alive. She folded her hands, the only prayer she knew, protection. The fire hummed like a lullaby, stronger than the storm outside. She rested, but even in rest, her guard never fell.
Dawn crept through the cracks, but brought no comfort.
The silence pressed too heavy, louder than the storm had ever been. Beyond the trees, shadows moved, too tall, too still to be wind.
A breath clouded the glass, not hers.
They were not 2, nor 10, but dozens, silent and surrounding. They did not move, yet their silence weighed heavier than any storm. Steam rose in the cold, proof of life waiting, watching. Then one stepped forward, larger than all the rest.
His eyes found hers, unreadable, yet holding power beyond words.
Then, with one motion, he gave the signal.
The clearing stirred, as if the forest itself held its breath.
2 stepped forward, smaller than the rest, yet greater in weight of purpose.
Each step pressed deep, marking silence with thunder beneath the snow.
They drew nearer, shadows of the forest closing in.
Until at last, they stood at her door.
The wood trembled, not from storm, but from presence.
Shadows sprawled across the door, larger than life, larger than fear. No knock came, yet silence struck harder than any blow. She stood as barrier, frail frame against the wild unknown. Time dragged heavy, each breath a lifetime at the threshold. Her hand lingered on the latch, torn between fear and duty. Her heartbeat thundered louder than the storm had ever dared. She turned back once, knowing what she must carry. She bent low, gathering them as if they were her own. Step by step, she carried them toward the waiting silence. The latch lifted, and with it, the weight of her fear.
The door opened, and the cold poured in. She stood face to face with shadows made flesh.
She bent, and with trembling hands, placed them on the snow. They were gathered again, not by storm, but by kin.
A low cry rose, not of threat, but of recognition.
The leader's gaze did not hold anger, only acknowledgement.
One bent low, leaving behind a token in the snow.
One by one, they turned, vanishing into the forest.
Alone again, yet never the same.
The clearing stood empty, as though they had never been.
Yet at her door, a token remained.
She carried it inside, setting it where the fire could see.
She stared into the fire, carrying silence deeper than words.
She was alone again, yet never the same.